wasn't going to give it to Zechariah until Zechariah was really stirred up and angry and saying, I've got to know this mystery. I've got to know this understanding. I've got to know this revelation. I've got to know this insight. I've got to grasp it. And the Malach said, I'm not going to give it to you until you want it and you're hungry for it. Yes. He had to ask him 3 times. He knew what the menorah is. He knew what dedicating and rededicating the temple to Yahweh through Zerubbabel was. But the purpose is not in the rededication of the temple. Hanukkah is not only in the rededication of the temple, it is in taking and doing something with those 2 trees as it relates to the temple. What are these 2 olive branches which empty the golden oil from themselves by means of the 2 pipes? You missed it. There were 2 trees, one on each side of the what? Menorah, but they both had what? They both had branches getting the oil from the same menorah. Not like any olive tree you've seen. These are 2 olive trees and they're plugged in there. There's a branch on each side going to the 2 trees from the menorah, and they get their oil. The menorah gets its oil from the olive branch and the olives. How do you get olive oil? Squeeze them out. From the olive trees. How you get olive oil. Make sense? So what is the menorah represents the light of Yahweh and the temple of Yahweh that Zerubbabel's building, but the true temple of Yahweh will not be built with the Jews being Israel, but with 2 trees. Both getting their oil, giving their oil and contributing to the glowing of the menorah. No. Let's continue. Verse 13. And he answered me and said, this is a stubborn angel. I mean, if I got this angel in my room, I'd slap him upside the head. He might do something else to me, but I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to humble myself, right? I'm just going to, whatever. This is some stubborn son of a gun. This Malach is not giving up any answers, is he? Hello? We think that messengers are sent by Yahweh to make things simple. Yeah, sometimes, but sometimes it's not so simple. He is not giving up the answer. And that is a lot of Ephraimites. They're like, I don't understand. How can I be Jewish? You're not Jewish. We're not teaching you that you're Jewish. We're teaching you that your ancestors entered the nations, and through intermarriage and assimilation, and through hundreds of generations, you come back speaking and talking and living like a Greek or a Roman or a heathen or a pagan, and it is the revival of the last days that'll bring you back as a prisoner of hope. Hallelujah. I'm not telling you you're Jewish. Because if that's what you're receiving, unless you're Jewish. Now there are Jews, and the Jews are the what? The bow. But Ephraim is the what? Arrow. More multitude, more bigger part of the bow and arrow. Watch this. The Malach says, don't you know what these are? And I said, no, my master. No, I don't know. I'm glad this Malach is not showing up in my room. I'll tell you, I would get so frustrated. And he said, now watch. These are the 2 anointed ones who stand before the master of all the earth. You missed that. These are the 2 anointed ones. Who are the 2 witnesses of Revelation 11? They are the 2 anointed ones. They are 2 olive trees, Revelation 11. And so Zechariah finally understands that the 2 olive trees are the anointed witnesses. Ephraim says, grace. And Judah says, no, law. Ephraim says, grace, 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 greater grace. And Ephraim says, you don't know what you're talking about. The Torah is the real thing, baby. When you've got the Torah, you've got the real thing. And so we got these 2 witnesses perfectly complementing each other, both giving oil to the menorah that represents purity, holiness, wholesomeness, and the dedication of Yahweh's people, temple, and body. From the twain he has made one new man. From the two olive trees he makes this one new man.
Hallelujah.
And each house contributes to the one new man, the golden menorah, perfectly safe, in shalom, no longer in enmity with each other, represented by the perfect 7 branches, gold for the purity, because they're clothed in the righteousness of Moshiach. For Yahweh made him who knew no sin to become sin, that we might be made the righteousness of Yahweh in him. We're clothed in Yeshua. But notice, the true temple, and not the ones Zerubbabel's being empowered to build. Are we on? The true temple is the one in the heavens, and both anointed ones, Judah and Ephraim, are feeding and putting oil into that temple. That means this Hanukkah. Jews, we cannot celebrate Hanukkah alone. It would be like having the menorah and one olive tree standing on one side of the menorah and the other olive tree missing. What would happen to the menorah? It wouldn't function properly. The body of Yeshua wouldn't function properly. The people of Israel wouldn't be rebuilt properly. Because when I need to know about Yeshua's love and forgiveness, I need Ephraim to remind me of grace. Because Yahweh has a Torah, but to the Torah breakers, there's judgment. And Ephraim, you need Yehuda to remind you that to walk in the Spirit, you need to follow the Torah, or else you won't know what it is to walk in the Spirit. So, Yahweh always confirms a truth in the earth in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. And so those 2 olive trees are the 2 witnesses that Yahweh is given a Torah. For Torah breakers, there is forgiveness. And for Torah breakers, there is grace. And both messages, law and grace. Not law versus grace. No! Law and grace come together in the one new man. One menorah. One new man. This is the one new man. And isn't it interesting that the two olive trees, Zechariah didn't understand the 2-house message. You think about what I'm telling you. And him and the Malach, Yahweh, are going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Tell me. No, tell me. Zerubbabel will build. Tell me. Zerubbabel will build. He is telling him, but he's not telling him. Hello? He's saying, look at the natural temple, and you'll understand that both the natural and the spiritual temple are being fueled by the return of the prisoners of hope from 2 olive trees and no longer 1. Father, we thank you for the truth of your word to us today. One menorah and one new man. And Father, we understand perfectly now how this menorah is symbolic of that wonderful restoration and regathering of all the exiles. How, Father, you have taken those non-Jewish believers and brought them here to the Miami Beach Yisrael revival to make of the twain one new man. To, Father, to reinstitute the true message you came, the message of the kingdom. And Father, we understand that sometimes that it's not easy to see that it is through these 2 houses that the menorah is lit, that the menorah functions, and that the true light of your presence emanates to the world. So, Father, we thank you that, yes, that the bow and the arrow are being put together to stand and be stirred up against the sons of Greece. But we also understand, Father, that the arrow enters as Ephraim, and the bow enters the fight, the revelation, as Yehudah. But when it is shot, that arrow becomes Yahweh. Not by might, not by power, but the arrow of restoration to strike down the enemies of Zion. So, Father, we thank you that we were far off, and we also were near, and yet not members of the Commonwealth of Israel. So, Father, we give you kol hakavod that you have taken from these 2 trees, these 2 nations and made of the twain one new man, represented in the two olive trees, feeding and becoming echad, power and light and victory of Hanukkah being seen, the victory of Hanukkah being seen in the one new man. The one new man is the victory. Israel's been cleansed. Israel's been cleansed. The one new man is the victory of Hanukkah. Yahweh was able to press through all the religion, all the lies, all the error, all the assimilation, all the wilderness wanderings, and make of the twain. He may found a way by the blood of the covenant. The one new man, the menorah, is the victory of Hanukkah. One menorah and one new man. B'Shem Yeshua HaMoshiach v'kol ha'kehila imru.
Amen.
Amen. Ve.
12 gates,
12 messengers, 12 tribes of Israel. 12 gates,
12 gates,
12 messengers,
12 messengers,
12 tribes
of Israel.
12 gates,
12 gates,
12 messengers,
12 messengers,
12 tribes of Israel. 12 gates,
12 gates,
12 messengers,
12 messengers,
12 tribes of Israel.
Lebanon, Reuben, Lebanon, Shimon, Teshuvah, welcome back. Lebanon, Levi, Lebanon, Yehuda, Teshuvah, welcome back. God's been waiting for you for 2,700 years. Teshuvah, welcome back. Lift your hands, praise Yahweh. He has gathered the sons of Yaakov. Blow the shofar and rejoice. Yahweh's word has come to bring Teshuvah. Welcome back. Lebanon, Dan, Lebanon, Natalie, Teshuvah. Welcome back. Lebanon, Gad, Lebanon, Asher, Teshuvah. Welcome back. God's been waiting for you for 2,700 years. Teshuvah, welcome back. Lift your hands, praise Yahweh. He has gathered the sons of Yaakov. Blow the shofar and rejoice. Yahweh's word has come to bring Teshuvah. Welcome back. Lebanon is a car. Lebanon is a balloon. Teshuvah. Welcome back. Lebanon Yosef. Lebanon Benjamin. Teshuvah. Welcome back. God's been waiting for you for 2,700 years. Teshuvah. Welcome back. Lift your hands, praise Yahweh. He has gathered the sons of Yaakov. Blow the shofar and rejoice. Yahweh's word has come to bring Teshuvah. Welcome back. Teshuvah. Israel. Welcome back.
12 messengers,
12 messengers,
12 tribes of Israel, 12 gates,
12 gates,
12 messengers,